OCD symptoms in teens, what are they and how do you manage them? Hi, I'm Julie and I'm a mum. I'm not a therapist and I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a mum who supported her own daughter through OCD and helped her to come out the other side and manage her OCD better. So first of all, what are OCD symptoms you need to be looking out for in your teen? There can be lots of different things. It can be doing something over and over, like maybe tapping or counting or washing hands. It's basically an action that's being done excessively over and over again. That can be a big clue. It can be if your teen is taking longer to get ready, because that could be indicating that they're doing some sort of compulsion, which is making them having to do something in a certain way. It can be that they're actually late, because again, this could mean that they're actually carrying out some sort of compulsion, whether it be a mental one or a physical one. It can be sudden change in eating habits. It can be avoiding people or places. These can be sort of indicators that there might be something more than general anxiety going on. So the first thing you need to do if you think your teenager is showing any symptoms of OCD is to get it diagnosed by visiting your GP. And your GP then will normally refer you to a specialist. Now, if you're in the UK like me, chances are they'll refer you to CAMS, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. Now, while this is a good thing because you'll be eventually getting professional help, the downside of this is that this can be a long process because there are long waiting lists. So what can you do in the meantime to manage OCD in your teen? Well, here are a few things that I found helpful when I was helping my own teen to manage her OCD behaviours. The first thing you need to do is communicate with OCD differently. So what do I mean through communication? Well, very often we can feed OCD as much through our communication as we can with things that we physically do. For example, if we say that it's their OCD or they can't do this because of their OCD, that sort of implies that it's part of your child, which it isn't. OCD is separate to your child. So the first thing you need to do is separate it from your child. And one good way of doing this is to get your child to create a character and a name for that character, which will be referred to for OCD. For example, I call OCD Hank. So if ever my daughter's having a bad day, I say, Hank's off again, is he? And it helps your child to realise it is separate to them and that they can stand up to OCD. Another way, the best way of communicating as well, is not to say your child can't do something, because they can do it. It's just OCD convincing them that they can't. So just by rephrasing it from can't to won't sends a different message to the brain that they are able to do it. They're just choosing not to because of this voice in their head. Another good way of communicating with OCD is to refrain from saying why they're feeling a certain way, because that can put them on their guard. So to break down their guard, a better way of saying is asking what exactly it is they're fearful of, and that would help them break down their barriers and to open up more about what their fears are and what is causing their OCD behaviour. The next part of the process is, while you're waiting for therapy, you need to start introducing what's referred to as ERP therapy. What is ERP therapy? Well, the full term for it is exposure response prevention therapy. And it's basically the process of starting to get your child to slowly, and I stress slowly, face up to their fears by exposing your child to their biggest fears. The best way of doing this is to break it down by getting your child into a calm place and writing down every single thing that they fear, and then scoring each item out of 10, with 1 being what causes them the least anxiety, 10 what causes them the most. And then whatever the lowest scorer is, you choose that, and that will be your first challenge. And what you need to do then is decide on a time frame to carry out that challenge and break it up into tiny steps. For example, if you want to reduce on a compulsion, for example, reduce on wipes from 20 to 13 in a week, you would then scale it down by reducing 1 wipe a day, which by the end of your time scale, which would be a week's time, you would have reduced it down to the 13, and so forth. You can also do it by delaying compulsions or pinning up images of what your child's greatest fear is. There's lots of different ways, but that is basically basically in a nutshell what exposure therapy is for. And it's proven to be the most effective at tackling OCD, and it's what helped my daughter free herself and to lead a more normal life, something that we never imagined possible when she was in the clutches of OCD. To make therapy easier, I recommend trying to distract them when they're doing their therapy. Now, obviously, it will depend what sort of therapy a child is carrying out, but some of the common ways that I found to distract it was to go for a ride while they're doing therapy, to just change a conversation to something engaging, to play a board game. Just basically arts and craft, anything your child will enjoy doing. Try and do that while they're undergoing therapy, because therapy can be really tough for them and it's exhausting. Another way of making therapy a bit easier is by introducing rewards. Now, rewards can be controversial with a lot of therapists. I was very reluctant to introduce rewards, particularly because I've got another sibling. But I have to say, had I not factored in rewards into the therapy, I don't think I would have got my child actually on board with therapy or stayed consistent to it. So I highly recommend factoring in a reward of some sort. It doesn't have to be anything major. Sometimes it's been something as small as a cup of coffee or a bar of chocolate, or sometimes if it's a harder therapy, then I've tended to give bigger rewards, but they do prove useful in managing OCD behaviours and with exposure response therapy. Hope you found this video useful. If you have, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you visit my website, which is www.themindmonsters.co.uk, I'll pop the link into the comments. I also share a lot more tips, and there are some free resources to download on there, as well as a workshop where I can offer advice to parents who are struggling to manage OCD symptoms in their teen. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.